Deep in the center of the Indian Ocean sits Diego Garcia. It is a tiny, highly militarized footprint of land, deliberately chosen for its extreme isolation. For decades, this joint US and UK military base has functioned as an untouchable staging ground. It is one of the few places on Earth where Washington can securely park nuclear submarines and launch B-2 stealth bombers well beyond the reach of its adversaries. That sense of total security vanished in March 2026. Iran launched 2 ballistic missiles directly at this island from exactly 4,000 kilometers away. The kinetic strike itself failed. One of the Iranian missiles malfunctioned mid-flight, and the second was intercepted by an American warship using an SM-3 system. The SM-3 is a ship-based surface-to-air missile designed specifically to destroy short to intermediate-range ballistic threats outside the Earth's atmosphere. Pentagon and Ministry of Defense analysts classified the event as a massive strategic escalation. While the base remained physically unharmed, the reach of the launch fundamentally altered the regional defense calculus. By putting a weapon into the airspace above Diego Garcia, Tehran proved that the long-standing 2,000-kilometer limit on their missile program was a total fabrication. For years, Iranian diplomats publicly insisted that their military was intentionally capping its missile range. They claimed their weapons could travel no further than 2,000 kilometers. This map shows what that self-imposed limit looks like. Western defense planners relied on this 2,000-kilometer containment zone to calculate their threat perimeters and position their regional assets. The weapon used in the strike was a Khorramshahr 4. This is an IRBM, or Intermediate-Range Ballistic Missile, a class of weapon engineered to travel distances between 3,000 and 5,500 kilometers. To squeeze 4,000 kilometers of range out of this specific prototype, experts believe engineers heavily modified it, likely shrinking the payload or removing the heavy explosive warhead entirely to lighten the launch weight. If we update our map to reflect the mathematical reality of a 4,000-kilometer radius, the containment zone collapses. The new threat ring expands to swallow almost the entire European continent. London, Paris, and Berlin are all suddenly trapped inside the perimeter. Geographically, the only major European country outside of Iran's new reach is Portugal. This satellite image shows the Strait of Hormuz. The timing of Iran's strike was highly calculated. It happened just days after the UK gave the United States permission to use Diego Garcia for defensive military operations right here in this narrow, vital shipping lane. Shortly after the missiles launched, Iran's foreign minister issued a global warning. He stated clearly that tourist destinations and recreational areas worldwide would no longer be considered safe for the country's enemies. The mission achieved its primary goal, generating the telemetry data needed to prove European capitals now sit with Iranian strike range. In New York, the United Nations Security Council immediately convened to pass a resolution explicitly condemning the Iranian strikes. The vote was lopsided, with 13 nations in favor. An alternative resolution drafted by Russia, which attempted to condemn the violence without actually naming Iran, failed to pass. Almost simultaneously, a bloc of 22 nations, including the UK, Germany, France, Japan, and the UAE, formed a coalition signaling their readiness to deploy military assets to keep the Strait of Hormuz open to commercial shipping. The U.S. military followed up with retaliatory strikes on underground cruise missile facilities, claiming they successfully degraded Iran's ability to threaten regional navigation. Yet, despite this massive international military response, the most severe threat to the future of Diego Garcia is emerging from within the British legal system. Back in London, heavy legal friction is actively threatening the US-UK military alliance. The UK Attorney General advised the government that supporting offensive strikes from Diego Garcia could make the United Kingdom complicit in an illegal war. The specific warning centers on American requests to use the British territory to stage offensive operations against Iranian nuclear sites. Because Diego Garcia is a British overseas territory, the U.S. requires explicit consent from London to launch missions. Under this new legal interpretation, the UK government might be forced to veto American military actions. This legal headache is compounding what defense analysts call the Mauritius trap. In 2025, the UK agreed to transfer sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, the archipelago containing Diego Garcia, to the Republic of Mauritius. Article 4 of that handover agreement gives Mauritius the right to ensure all operations originating from the base comply strictly with international law. If Mauritius questions the legality of a U.S. strike on Iran, they could demand prior notice before any military force is used. That requirement would instantly destroy the operational secrecy required for B-2 stealth bomber missions, rendering the base tactically useless for offensive strikes. Iran successfully expanded the map with a single missile test, but as tensions peak in the Middle East, the West is discovering they might lose their most important strategic base to a quiet war over treaties and legal definitions.